It's great to see the documentary The Healing, produced and directed by Nick Barkla, is getting national Q&A releases October, November, including November 9th at the Nova Cinema. And I remember seeing the film as part of the Melbourne Documentary Film Festival. And now here we are looking at a national release. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to Nick Barkla. Nick, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thank you, Peter. Great to be here.
Good to talk to you again. And this is such a wonderful documentary about healing horses and healing people and putting the two together. Just tell audiences, because a lot of my audience may not know, the background behind making the healing.
Look, the background was that a friend of mine approached me and said that he was a writer and he'd just written an article about a guy in Sydney called Scott Brodie, who was a former mounted New South Wales Mounted Police police officer, who was now retraining ex-thoroughbred racehorses so that they didn't end up at the slaughterhouse, that they had second careers and second lives. And he was writing an article about him, and I said, what a great thing this guy's doing for the horses. And he said, look, interestingly, he's just started working with traumatized military veterans, and he's been showing the military veterans some horsemanship skills and how to help him retrain the horses. And out of that, these veterans have been getting some really great breakthroughs in their mental health, the mental health issues that they've been having with anxiety and depression and PTSD and things like that. And I said, well, it sounded great, even from a storytelling point of view. It sounded really beautiful that the horses and the humans were being healed. And then my friend said Scott was actually looking for someone to shoot a couple of days of footage, so that he could, to help him get funding for what he was doing. And was I interested in putting together a bit of footage for him? And I ended up having a chat to Scott on the phone, and then he said, look, you're welcome if you want to come up for a few days to Kangaroo Valley in New South Wales, where we hold this training program for the veterans and the horses. You're welcome to come up. And so my friend Matthew Chung, a really fantastic cinematographer, he got together a really great team, and we went up to Kangaroo Valley and we started filming. And I thought probably we were only going to be there for a couple of days to shoot some footage to help Scott out. And it just became really evident, quite fast, that I guess it was more powerful than I had imagined, seeing the transformation of the people in particular over such a short period of time. And then we ended up staying for 5 days, and that was sort of the first 5-day course. And then I guess I stayed in contact with Scott and the veterans, and I realized that a number of the veterans from the course that I'd filmed kept working with Scott over, as it turned out, years. And that continual work with him, learning the horsemanship skills and watching these horses have another opportunity at a career and a life, meant an enormous amount to the veterans, and they started having really significant breakthroughs in their lives. So I just kept filming, and I guess we ended up filming over 3.5, 4 years, and here we are.
And here we are. It's such a beautiful story, and I can imagine the negotiations you had to go through to ethically, I suppose, in terms of the filming process with the veterans, with the military people, and so on, to be able to talk on camera about their
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah, I mean, Scott was really clear that that the well-being of the veterans and the horses came first, and came far in front of anything we were trying to achieve as filmmakers. And I was totally happy with that. I mean, initially, like I said, we were just there to film a bit of footage and help Scott out. And then after filming a couple of days and then very slowly starting to get to know the veterans, we were just filming the horse interactions with the veterans initially. And then on the third day, I said to the veterans, look, for this, for an audience to really understand why you're here on this course, we need to have some context to what your traumas have been. And it was a hard thing for them, because a lot of the counseling and the therapy and stuff they'd done prior, it did involve talking about these things. And they were really sick of doing that. That's one of the reasons they found themselves on this horse property, I think, is that they didn't want to keep working on talking therapies. They wanted to do something really physical and that didn't involve language, which was to do with working with their body language and energy with the horses. So it was a tricky one, because I kind of didn't really understand how else I could get across to the audience, even just briefly what they'd been through without them talking about it. And then look, I explained that, and then they kind of understood that. And then they very bravely, I thought, sort of, we just decided, look, just tell us one example of a trauma that really caused problems for you. And each of them had, different traumas, and they were very, very full on things. And that was enough, I felt, to paint the picture of, what these people, one of the things that had led them to, have some mental health issues and end up at this horse program.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, again, as I said, it's a beautifully told story, and I gather this program that is being run by Scott Brody is continuing. It's been funded because I know the film has been screened at Parliament House.
Yeah, so we screened the film at Parliament House late last year, and that was really to get it in front of politicians, and more particularly to get it in front of the Department of Veteran Affairs. At the moment, the Department of Veteran Affairs don't fund equine programs for veterans, so we're still working on them. We're still working on politicians to get Scott some funding, essentially. So it's an ongoing kind of, I hesitate to use the word battle, but it's an ongoing task to to get this sort of work funded, because it's not traditionally what
Mm.
funding bodies know. The film has been very helpful in opening people's minds up to, gee, there's some alternative or complementary things out there that can be really good for veterans' mental health. So that's a good thing. And I think this cinema tour and the press that we're now starting to get, like a lot of mainstream press and stuff like that, I think that's going to help a lot, also.
And it also your film has managed to save a number of horses as well that would have been killed otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, look, the horse that Scott focuses on mostly in the film, a horse called Baz. I mean, prior to the film, Scott had retrained many, many horses, and he told me when Baz came along, he said, "Look, I've had a lot of problematic horses, but Baz is by far the most problematic, given the tough time he had in the racing industry." Scott was really, I think, at different points wondered if it was going to be possible to even retrain him successfully. Um, as it turned out, it was, and Baz is an extremely intelligent, sensitive horse, and probably why, maybe one of the reasons he did struggle with some aspects of the racing industry. But Scott was able to successfully retrain him, and he became a really great horse for the veterans to work with. They really seemed to gravitate towards him. So I mean, Baz is just one example of a horse that, I would say, if Scott hadn't worked with him, then Baz would have faced a very uncertain future.
Mm. Okay, and it's interesting how when we go back in time a little bit with the Melbourne Documentary Film Festival, where the Healing screened and very successfully, and the release coming up now nationally with Q&As, has the film undergone a bit of re-editing or restructuring over the last couple of years?
No, no, it's the same film. We just, I guess, we did add a couple of cards because more veterans and more horses have been through Scott's program. So it
Mm.
was really just updating that aspect of it. And yeah, look, we're doing the screenings in the capital cities so that people have an opportunity to see it on the big screen. And also they have an opportunity to hear the cast and crew speak afterwards. So the Sydney screening on October 30, myself, Scott, and Mel will be there. Brian Brown, the terrific actor, is going to be hosting the event, and he'll be
Mm.
moderating the Q&A. And we have some really great, we have some other great hosts that are doing the Q&As in the different states. So I think those cinema screenings will be fantastic. And then after that, after November 9, when they finish, the film will be available online for people to rent or buy.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Wow, what a journey that your film, The Healing, has had, and which is fantastic. And yes, I certainly highly recommend the film. It's a beautifully made film. So well done on that. And I'll just add November 9th. It's on at the Nova Cinema
That's
in
right. Yeah,
Melbourne.
yeah, yep. So
Yeah.
November 9 at the Nova at 7 p.m. And there'll be myself and Scott and Mel, one of the veterans in the film, who's also an associate producer. We'll be there to answer questions, and we're getting great feedback from people that are coming along, veterans, first responders, horse lovers, people involved in the mental health space. But I think even people that are just really interested in seeing a film that deals with healing and some hope and inspiration.
And the whole issue of therapy and extending the idea of how therapy can work in different ways to help people who are undergoing difficult situations.
Yeah, look, we had a great we had when we screened at Parliament House last year, the Royal Commission into Defence and Veteran Suicide were there, and a number of their people saw the film. And then they recommended it to the people running the Royal Commission, who had a look at the film, the commissioners, and then they asked for their whole staff to be able to watch the film. So the film was screened for the entirety of the Royal Commission staff around the country. And I think it was one of those of for them, it was one of those things where they thought this film does a really great job of not certainly not sugarcoating any of the traumas that people that serve the country go through. But they did find it to be a really valuable source of hope for people out there that are struggling in these, mental health spaces. There's been a
Mm.
lot of discussion, particularly in the media, about, I guess, the problems with DVA, the problems with the military, the issues that, like, focusing, I guess, on the more negative aspects of things.
Mm.
So the Royal Commission found the healing to be, I guess, a really great source of. Yes, it does touch on those issues, but it also shows you that there's a way out of them. You know, that there's this guy Scott Brody who's bringing these broken groups together, and he's really helping heal them.
Absolutely. No, this film is very instructive in that sort of way, and hopefully it will have further influence. Just very quickly, Nick, while I've got you there, I must ask you about Hotel Cocaine.
Very different topic.
Yes.
Yeah, from from a healing documentary to something maybe not so living.
Yes,
Um,
that's right.
Hotel Cocaine is a TV series that I'm acting in the Dominican Republic at the moment. So
Ah,
yeah, it's a new show from a guy called Chris Brancato. So Chris created Narcos, um, and he also created a TV series called Godfather of Harlem with Forrest Whitaker.
ah,
And Hotel Cocaine is his new show, and we've filmed four episodes in the Dominican Republic, and we're about, as soon as the SAG strike resolves, then the orders are to get back to the Dominican Republic to film the last four episodes. So,
uh-huh.
good thing for me in a way is that the strike happened now, so I was able to be back here for the release of the film. And But it's been a blast. I mean, I don't think I ever imagined filming a series like that in the Caribbean, with a really multicultural cast and great crew, and it's a bit of a dream job, really.
Oh, it sounds great. I'll certainly look out for it. And also, Nick, I must ask you, are you also making or preparing or thinking about making another film?
I am. I'm actually working on a drama adaptation of The Healing. So I'm a fair way sort of down the track of that. Some of the characters in the documentary and some of the other people that they introduced me to along the way, friends of theirs that have been in the military. I thought there was an opportunity there to explore some of the things that are in the documentary at a deeper sort of at a sort of different level, through drama. And so, yeah, I'm working on a drama script of that at the moment.
Okay, well, good luck with all of that. That sounds great. We've been speaking to Nick Barkla, who's the producer director of The Healing, screening nationally at various cinemas with Q&As attached, and certainly in Melbourne at the Nova Cinema on the 9th of November. Nick, as always, thanks so much for talking with me.
Thank you, Peter. Oh, and also, is it possible? I'll just give you the if people do want the details of where to book around
Yep.
the country, they can go to good. So it's GOOD dot film FILM / the healing. Good dot film / the healing, and they're all the details of the screenings and where you can rent it and buy it. They're all there.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Okay, Nick, thanks again. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks, man.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
bye
Thanks.
bye.